Well, let's welcome our guest because I see her pop up on my screen down here. Former Comcast SportsNet Phillies reporter, among many other hats that she wears these days. Leslie Gudel, welcome back, Leslie. We want to hear about the second annual Kendall's Crusade OneArmed Golf Challenge.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Chet. Thanks for having me back again. I appreciate it as always.
Hey, Leslie, we're going to talk about your big event in a couple of minutes, but as a longtime Phillies reporter, I got to ask you, what's your take on this 2022 Phillies team? How do you think they're going to do this year?
Well, I mean, I think you're seeing when you see guys like Nola and Wheeler start to come around. I mean, you can make excuses, I guess, for, they shortened spring training and being a little bit later than they're in routines at this point in their careers, right? I mean, they ramp up the same way every year, so making those adjustments. So I'm glad to see what we're seeing there. I think that we all thought that this team was going to come out and hit again, and that has to happen soon. It just because that's where the excitement is going to come around this team. People want to see this team hit because that's what they've been assembled as.
Yeah. Hey, Leslie, I predicted 88 wins for the Phils, and just to be different, Bill went one higher and said 89. Are we crazy? Can this team actually win 88 plus games and get back to the postseason like they did pretty regularly during the Leslie Gudel era?
I think it comes down to pitching. I think they're going to hit. I don't think that's going to be a concern. They're going to find their groove. I don't think judging what any team does based on their April performance, especially when you're close to the 500 mark, that you can even get close to predicting that is going to replicate itself throughout the season. I look back on the Phillies coming, from 7.5 games back in September, and I think nothing is bigger proof than the fact that you can overcome a deficit if you have the momentum, the team is healthy, and I'm a big believer in chemistry and how the team's gelling at that point.
You and me both, for sure. I talk about that all the time, no matter what sport.
Yes, you do.
I don't think those numbers are unrealistic. I really don't.
Okay.
I mean, it's a tough division, right? But I don't think those numbers are unrealistic.
Yeah. Leslie, what do you think about the DH in the National League? I kind of found it interesting the other day where they sent a youngster down to the minor leagues because he's their long reliever. He's not getting long relief work. Not going to get that much long relief work now with the DH. How do you like it in the National League? I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
I didn't change with the times, I guess, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it takes time, right? When you're used to something and you have sentimental attachment to, the way the game was played. There are some things happening in the game. I've always been a fan of the fact that the two leagues had different rules. Like I enjoyed that part of it. And I think it just differentiated the two leagues, and you saw players cross over from one league to another and struggle in another league because they weren't used to it. I'm not crushed by it. It doesn't bother me all that much, but mostly because I just like to see more offense. And I'm not, not just the long ball. It's, I want to see, I miss small ball and good defensive plays and strategic thinking within the game.
Hey, one final baseball question before we talk about the big event. Do you ever miss those days, your daily coverage of the Phillies and getting to talk to guys like Ryan Howard?
It's so funny you say that. I consider myself really, really fortunate in that I got here in 1997 and immediately started going out to the games and being around baseball and becoming part of the Phillies. I saw Chase Utley last April when I was out in California, and we were talking about, if you caught up with this person, you caught up with that person. And I thought, we lived parallel lives. We did something totally different, but we were at the same place all the time, right? I wasn't on the road with them, but we all lived through a lot of the same stuff together, just in different roles. And I went out with Ryan Howard. That was Ryan Howard's final interview. And I remember walking out on the field with him, and I knew it was my last day. Nobody else knew. And I said, well, one of us is going to make $10 million in free agency and one of us isn't. Let's make this fun. And we did the interview on the field, and I walked away and I was okay with it. Like, it was time. Sometimes the best decisions in life are the ones that are made for you. I don't miss, the late August, early September rain delayed game at, being there at 2 a.m. Like that is not something I miss. I miss the people that I worked around, not the athletes as much. And then something that I've really done a lot of, and I actually have explored the idea of a book on this, is, the period of time that happens after you leave sports. There's an identity that these guys have from the age of 4 or 5 years old, right? We started honing our craft in college or after college, and sometimes even later. They've identified with that from the time they were very, very young, and then they leave sports, and there's documented stories of things that happen to some of these guys, and the leagues are doing a much better job at helping them make that transition. For someone like me, I had done other businesses, I had done other things, but what you miss is being inside the ropes. You miss the ability to say, yeah, I can go out on the field and I can hang. I always had an appreciation for the fact that my office was in the press box. I got to go to work each day by standing on a baseball field. So that's the part that was always really cool about it. But I was ready when I was done.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, hey, Kendall's Crusade OneArmed Golf Challenge is coming up. A huge success last year, so we're back to our second annual. Tell us about it. Give us the details. Who's coming?
It's Tuesday, May 31st at Whitemarsh Valley Country Club. And I'll tell you what we did last year was, I knew going into it, a gimmicky thing, right? 9 holes scramble. Everybody's got to play one-handed. But what it turned out to be was something truly awesome. And that was an awareness piece for people with disabilities. The number of people who walked off 9 holes of golf exhausted because playing one-handed was so hard. And to be able to have an appreciation for what people go through, and in this case, Kendall, but all these people that were out there for whatever disability that they, some with, one guy without an arm. We had the North American One-Armed Golfers Association, a few guys from there out. This year we have a guy named Snappy Gilmore coming out. So I don't know how much you see him on social media, but He's got 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and he's got over 100,000 followers on Instagram. You have to check him out. He's an able-bodied kid, but he plays golf he hits the golf ball 310 yards one-handed. So he's flying in to take part in the tournament as well. We'll have him on one of the holes. And then we have a party afterwards. The Tim Williams band will be playing. Tim Williams is phenomenal for anybody who hasn't seen him, a local band. And he was playing when everybody got off the course. And I think some people thought they'd just go and golf and leave. And we had a huge success with even just selling party tickets. It was a lot of fun. So hopefully people can come out this year. We're doing it a little earlier than we did last year because Kendall leaves for college in August. So last year was August. This year it's going to be May 31st. And foursomes are available on kendallscrusade.org. And if you scroll right below the header, it's the link to golf. And you can go ahead and connect through there and you'll find it. You could also go to the Kendall's Crusade Instagram page, and some of the information should be there, or at least I'll make sure it's in the bio there for people to link.
Well, speaking of Kendall, you mentioned she's going to college. How's she doing with the condition? Is she pretty good these days?
She's doing very well. We had a situation where we made lemonade out of lemons last fall. She was sick with the flu. She fainted. We thought she had another stroke. She does still have some of her AVM left. And we took her to Paoli Hospital, and she was misdiagnosed with a brain bleed. And so instead of being angry at the hospital, we thought, well, let's do something about that. So we donated $10,000 from the foundation to Paoli Hospital to help educate the ER staff in the neurology department on AVMs, so that doesn't happen to someone else. So fortunately, Kendall just went, oh, did I have another stroke? Like it was, humorous to anybody who didn't actually know us. Right. But, we knew she was fine. And it gave us an opportunity to say, you know what, Paoli Mainline Health is building a new neuro unit at Paoli Hospital. So some of the proceeds from this year's event, we want to go there to help support them, as opposed to look at that experience as something that was negative. We want to turn it into a positive.
That's awesome. So you said there's foursomes available. I assume there's always sponsorships available as well.
There are sponsorships available as well. Those are also on the website, and I'll put it on my public Facebook page tonight, so it's out there for everybody as well. McKendallsCrusade.org. And like I said, you just scroll down right underneath the header and you'll see information for the golf event. Sponsorships available. We have some of our sponsorship packages that have been taken. But yeah, and if anybody who signs up in the next couple of weeks can designate their t-shirt size. We have some other swag gifts to give out. But we'll have a celebrity on every hole. Last year, and I believe he's coming back this year, Rodney Peete was out. Freddie Mitchell played. Greg Murphy. We had different Jennifer Frederick, Andy Summers. Like, we had different people from both sports and broadcasting on every hole. And the Fanatic came out. That was fun. Bonnie Bernstein, a longtime friend of mine, came down from New York. So everybody will have somebody fun to play with. But that's really the goal, is to have a good time and raise some awareness and raise a little money to help support Mainline Health this year.